funny, but it's still rock and roll to me.
1980 was the year disco was dead. MTV was 1 year away. And musicians everywhere seem to be making the best records of their lives.
She wants him so badly.
Today we are counting down 10 of the coolest albums that year had to offer. Number 10, Remain in Light by Talking Heads.
You may find yourself living in a shotgun shack.
Remain in Light was the fourth studio album by Talking Heads, released in October of 1980 and produced by Brian Eno. The album was built around African rhythms, funk grooves, and layered percussion, and it was recorded at Compass Point Studios in the Bahamas. The lead single, Once in a Lifetime, peaked at number 14 on the UK singles chart and was one of the most heavily played videos when MTV launched the following year. What most people do not know is that the song was written almost entirely through improvised jams, with David Byrne modeling his vocal delivery on the style of American evangelical preachers. Cross-Eyed and Painless was another standout track, showcasing the band's ability to blend art rock with something that actually moved on the dance floor. The album reached number 19 on the Billboard 200 and is now considered one of the defining records of the era. Number 9, Making Movies by Dire Straits. Remain in Light was the fourth studio album by Talking Heads, released in October of 1980 and produced by Brian Eno. The album was built around African rhythms, funk grooves, and layered percussion, and it was recorded at Compass Point Studios in the Bahamas. The lead single, Once in a Lifetime,
Hey, it's Romeo. You nearly gave me a heart attack.
Reaching number 8 on the UK singles chart. Mark Knopfler wrote the song about a real relationship he had with a fellow musician, which gives the lyric that specific kind of detail you cannot invent. Tunnel of Love opens the album and runs to over 8 minutes. Weaving in a melody borrowed from the Rodgers and Hammerstein musical Carousel before expanding into something completely its own. It later appeared on the soundtrack to the 1982 Richard Gere film An Officer and a Gentleman. Skate Away was another fan favorite, and the album remains one of the most admired records Dire Straits ever made.
But it's not far down to paradise. At least it's not.
Number 8, Christopher Cross by Christopher Cross.
It is the night. My body's weak. I'm on the
Christopher Cross was the debut album by the Texas-born singer-songwriter of the same name. At the Grammy Awards in February of 1980, it swept all 4 major categories, winning Album of the Year, Record of the Year, Song of the Year, and Best New Artist. No artist had ever achieved that clean sweep in a single night before. Sailing became the album's signature track and reached number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100.
Oh, the candles can do miracles. Just
Ride Like the Wind,
ride like the wind to be free again.
which features backing vocals from Michael McDonald of the Doobie Brothers, reached number 5. What makes this album such an interesting piece of history is that it arrived at the very end of one decade and defined the sound that would dominate adult contemporary radio at the start of the next. The album sold over 5 million copies in the United States alone. If you are enjoying this so far, a like on the video would be really appreciated. Number 7, Closer by Joy Division. Closer was the second and final studio album by Joy Division, recorded at Britannia Row Studios in London in March of 1980. The album was produced by Martin Hannett. Lead singer Ian Curtis had been dealing with worsening epilepsy, a failing marriage, and the physical demands of a punishing touring schedule. On the 18th of May 1980, on the eve of the band's first North American tour, Ian Curtis died by suicide at his home in Macclesfield. He was 23 years old. Closer was released posthumously in July of 1980 and reached number 6 on the UK albums chart. Love Will Tear Us Apart, released as a single around the same time, reached number 13 in the UK and has since become one of the most recognizable post-punk songs ever recorded. The 3 surviving members went on to form New Order, Closer remains one of the most powerful and harrowing records of its era. And if you have not subscribed yet, feel free to do that. It helps a lot. Number 6, Glass Houses by Billy Joel. Glass Houses was the 6th studio album by Billy Joel, released in March of 1980 and produced by Phil Ramone. With this record, Joel made a deliberate push toward a harder rock sound, influenced by the new wave movement that had been reshaping the charts in the late 70s. It's Still Rock and Roll to Me was the lead single.
Sound funny, but it's still rock and roll to me.
And reached number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, becoming Joel's first U.S. number 1 single. You may be right. Opened the album with a crashing, raucous energy that surprised a lot of listeners who knew him mainly from Piano Man.
Can you play me a memory? I'm not really sure.
Don't Ask Me Why was another highlight.
Don't ask me why.
A more melodic track that showed Joel could still write a beautifully crafted pop song in the middle of a rock record. Glass Houses won the Grammy for Best Rock Vocal Performance and was the best-selling album in America in 1980. Number 5, Zenyatta Mondatta by The Police.
She wants him so badly.
Zenyatta Mondatta was the 3rd studio album by The Police, released in October of 1980. The band recorded it in just 4 weeks between tour dates, and the members later admitted they were not entirely happy with how rushed it felt. Despite that, it produced 2 of the biggest singles of their career. Don't Stand So Close to Me went to number 1 in the UK in its first week of release and spent 4 weeks at the top, making it the biggest selling single in Britain in the whole of 1980. It also reached number 10 in the United States. De Do Do Do, De Da 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 was the 2nd single, reaching number 5 in the UK. The album itself went to number 1 in Britain and number 5 in America, and earned the band 2 Grammy Awards, including Best Rock Performance by a Duo or Group for Don't Stand So Close to Me. It is a remarkable record for something made under that much pressure. Number 4, Scary Monsters by David Bowie. Scary Monsters was the 14th studio album by David Bowie, released in September of 1980 and produced by Bowie and Tony Visconti. The album featured notable guest appearances from guitarist Robert Fripp, who played on 6 tracks, and Pete Townshend of The Who, who appeared on Because You're Young. The first single, Ashes to Ashes, went to number 1 in the UK.
Ashes to ash and fun to forget.
And gave Bowie his first chart topper in 5 years. The song revisited Major Tom, the character from his 1969 hit Space Oddity, revealing that he had become a junkie, a darker sequel nobody expected. The music video for Ashes to Ashes was one of the most expensive ever made at the time, and became one of the most iconic visuals of the early MTV era. Fashion followed as the 2nd single and reached number 5 in the UK. The album reached number 1 in Britain and remains one of the strongest records of his entire career.
I come from down in the valley.
Number 3, The River by Bruce Springsteen. The River was the 5th studio album by Bruce Springsteen, released in October of 1980 as a double album spanning 20 tracks. Hungry Heart was the lead single and became Springsteen's first top 10 hit in the United States, reaching number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100. What many people do not know is that Springsteen originally wrote Hungry Heart overnight for the Ramones, after Joey Ramone asked him for a song. His producer John Landau heard it and convinced him to keep it for himself. Springsteen even sped up the vocal track slightly during mixing, giving the recording its distinctive, bright, punchy sound. The title track, The River, is a complete completely different kind of song, a spare and quietly devastating portrait of a young couple watching their dreams shrink under the weight of adult reality. The album reached number 1 in the United States, giving Springsteen his first chart-topping album, and sold 1.6 million copies in the US before Christmas.
Time flies so quickly.
Number 2, Double Fantasy by John Lennon and Yoko Ono. Double Fantasy was the 7th studio album released by John Lennon under his own name, and it was recorded at the Hit Factory in New York between August and October of 1980, after a 5-year break during which Lennon had stepped back from music entirely to raise his son Sean. The comeback single, Just Like Starting Over, was climbing the charts when the album came out on the 17th of November, 1980. 3 weeks later, on the 8th of December, John Lennon was shot and killed outside his home at the Dakota Building in New York City. He was 40 years old. Just Like Starting Over immediately went to number 1 in both the United States and the United Kingdom. Woman, released as a follow-up single in January of 1981, also reached number 1 in both countries. The album won Album of the Year at the Grammy Awards. It is impossible to listen to it now without thinking about what was taken that December night. Number 1, Back in Black by AC/DC. Back in Black was the 7th studio album by AC/DC, released on the 21st of July, 1980. Earlier that year, on the 19th of February, lead singer Bon Scott had been found dead in a car in South London after a night of heavy drinking. He was 33 years old. The band considered disbanding, but ultimately decided to continue. They brought in Brian Johnson, a vocalist who had previously fronted a British band called Geordie. Interestingly, Bon Scott himself had seen Johnson perform years earlier and had spoken highly of him to the rest of the band. The album was recorded at Compass Point Studios in the Bahamas with producer Mutt Lange. You Shook Me All Night Long reached number 35 in the United States and became one of the most recognized rock songs of the decade. Hell's Bells opened the album with the sound of a tolling bell, a deliberate tribute to Scott. Back in Black reached number 1 in the UK and number 4 in the United States, where it spent 131 weeks on the chart. It has since sold over 50 million copies worldwide, making it the 2nd best-selling album in recording history. I hope you enjoyed this look back at 10 of the coolest albums from 1980. See you next time.